And then she came out to set. She's an executive producer on the film, and she stood next to the monitor with me as we were directing, and just had the biggest smile on her face and said, KJ makes a real fine dad. That she was just so proud of what he was bringing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like.
Welcome to Buzzworthy Radio. Here's your host, NaVell J. Lee.
Aaron Burns is joining me right now to talk about Jimmy, the movie that is set to premiere Veterans Day this year. And welcome, man. Welcome. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Describe to me a little bit about what was it for you to want to make this movie about Jimmy Stewart?
So I saw a bunch of Jimmy's movies growing up. And now, they're older. Obviously, Jimmy's been gone for a while, but some of these timeless classics like It's a Wonderful Life, you watch every Christmas, but then just great movies about, Westerns, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, I love that one, or Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, just this idealistic, patriotic, guy with a real spine and backbone in spite of his innocence. All these amazing stories of his Hitchcock stuff and everything else. But I never knew that he had an interesting story himself. And, the old saying, don't get too close to your heroes or you'll be disappointed. Well, I saw an article Jimmy wrote that talked about the making of It's a Wonderful Life, how it's the first film he did when he came back from flying bombers in World War II. And I was like, whoa, hold the phone. Jimmy was a bomber pilot and he fought in World War II. And as you dig in a little further, he came home totally broken from PTSD. He wasn't just a show soldier who did PR videos. He led 700 bombers in combat, flew 20 missions, was over there for years, and helped win the war and served his country, served his fellow Americans, but then came home totally broken. And the making of one of my favorite movies, which brings hope to the world every Christmas, It's a Wonderful Life, was the beginning of him finding his own hope in his way after he was lost and broken. So I was like, holy smokes, what a transformative story. I'd love to tell this. So that's how we got started. And we reached out to Jimmy's daughter, Kelly, and she was willing to help us with the story and wanted to do it with their blessing and make sure that we told the story in a way that would honor one of my heroes. So it's been quite an adventure.
This cast already had shaped up to be a great, phenomenal film regardless, but this cast already put it over the top for me, obviously, with KJ being in the role of Jimmy, and he actually emulates his voice very, very well. I watched the trailer and it's just, he really did do him justice, and I've loved her for a long time. Jen Lilly, it really just made my eyes go, wow, you got Jen Lilly a part of this. This is great. And so big fan. Rob Riggle and Jason Alexander, I think, is in this, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. He plays Louis B. Mayer, the crafty studio boss. We had so much fun when he was on set. He just, all these actors brought these roles to life in such a fun way because it's set in the 40s and there's this energy to the world back then where everyone was, I mean, almost if you think of like influencers today, you're kind of always performing, you're performing for your audience. They were all like that back then as well. And then you have Jimmy, the farm boy from Pennsylvania who heads west, but then makes it big in Hollywood. And he's trying to figure out where does he fit in, where are his values in this big wild world. It was just so fun. And to have, Jason Alexander, as you say, or even, I don't know if you know, Sarah Drew plays Hedda Hopper, the gossip columnist.
Sarah Drew,
and
that's right.
And she plays, they're all real roles that these people step into. So they can go and research the characters. And they were just these larger than life people that were performing back in the 40s. And so to get to recreate them and to create this very colorful world and then just tell a little tiny slice of it with Jimmy moving through it is pretty fun.
I've always loved period pieces anyway. That's one of my favorite genres of whether it's a television show, it's a movie, and just to go back in time, visit a life that I wasn't a part of and seeing how it was done and what they did in that life. It's so much fun for me. So I'm looking forward to seeing them playing these roles of real people and what they bring to them. I'm kind of excited for that.
I'm a sucker for period pieces as well. if you do a modern story, there's so much baggage that we bring to it with all of our own thoughts and expectations. But if you drop to a different world, first of all, it's something that I'll never get to do. I'm never going to be living in that era. I'm never going to get to wear those clothes and fly those planes and do that stuff. So it automatically takes me on an adventure. But then I think what great movies do is they show you the humanity of people throughout all the eras. And you can go back in time and see these people on their journey or on their adventure and see yourself in those shoes. And it takes away some of the baggage that I'll bring to a movie from my own experience and allow me to see the world through an entirely new lens. And it's just as human as the world I'm in today. And it's so fun to get to bring those life and to tell those stories with those angles.
And especially from someone else's perspective. And we get to live that through our own eyes. And then we gain a new perspective when we see it. You know, I think that's probably going to be one of the biggest takeaways when people do get to see Jimmy, which segues into this question. Because we see a lot of biopics being made and produced, we've seen a few right now within this past year alone. What makes this different than any biopic that we probably are accustomed to? Because everybody always assumes that whenever a documentary about a person in life is made, especially for the big screen, they're expecting it to show everything, including the scandals, the drama, and everything of the sort. I don't think we're going to be seeing that with this, which is what I'm very happy about, because we're going to see Jimmy Stewart, the man, and not something that we're going to be worrying about anything where there was tabloids, there was this, there was anything that was going to sound or look derogatory. We're going to actually see what made Jimmy Stewart, Jimmy Stewart.
What's so fun to me about the lens that we were able to bring to this film, obviously he lived a long life with all kinds of adventures, all kinds of stuff. His journey from, being a boy growing up in rural Pennsylvania, going to Princeton, going to Broadway, going to Hollywood and getting a contract with MGM. And now he's a young man and he's out there for 4 or 5 years. And he kind of leaves his morals and his values behind for a little bit and starts living the Hollywood lifestyle. But then he wins the Oscar. He's on top of the world. And that's right where our story picks up. And he from that point, it's his struggle to say, I want to leave behind this pretending to be a hero. I want to go become a real hero and find out what that really looks like. And then he joins the U.S. Army Air Corps at the time and fights through the war, comes home broken, and goes on to make It's a Wonderful Life. And that's the very narrow slice of the story that we tell. And interestingly, his life is so well documented by the gossip columnists and the tabloids and all the things of his day. But this era was very few interviews, very few public appearances that he did, because he was serving and he was all in on this. So we get to see a slice of Jimmy that no one really has seen before, and see just that fun fish out of water of a Hollywood actor who's used to performing for cameras and press, now leading his men and rallying his troops. And instead of going into create artificial scenes, he's going into combat. And what does that look like? And unpacking those pieces to see the real man in his most transformative years in this very narrow slice. We don't try to tell his whole story. We dial in on the most transformative years of his life. And it was really fun to play with those threads and those stories and dive into all the historical research to find what from military records. And his daughter Kelly has a journal that he actually kept during the war that he never shared with anybody, but he put it in his nightstand so that his daughters would find it after he passed away and share some of those stories. So we got access to Kelly sharing those stories with us, and that's where the film comes from.
I heard you got to hold his Oscar.
Hold on one second. You're not going to believe it. Kelly let me borrow. We had to film it. This is actually Jimmy's Oscar, for real.
That's insane.
It's insane. It's literally in my office because we needed it for some additional shots. And Kelly was like, yeah, you can, I trust you. You can borrow it for a little while. So he's been with me for
Did you turn into a little boy at Christmas where she said you could borrow it?
I about lost. I had to work real hard to keep my cool, because honestly, when I first met her, it's sitting on a shelf behind her right there. And you get, and you can tell Kelly's such a wonderful person, and she vibes like her dad, like the way she talks and moves. Like she is a Stewart. You can tell that she's his daughter, and she's like, oh, this old thing, Dad's Oscar, just the most down to
So
earth,
nonchalant, like, oh, this is just
casual
this is a
person. Yeah,
bookend.
no
That's
problem.
it. No, it's
Right,
a
that's
bookend.
fine.
It's
So
fine.
she brought it out to set, and we filmed it, and we had some additional photography we needed. So she said, "Yeah, no problem. Why don't you take it home?" I was like,
Like,
"Yeah,
take it home. Okay.
absolute moment." So
Put that
yeah,
right in the passenger seat. Put the seatbelt on it. Just as
that's
soon as you brought it home,
right.
I'm making sure I'm protecting it like it's one of my 5 children. So
Yes, 100%. And it's funny 'cause now I have to fly it back out to her. But when you take it through airport security, sure as heck you're not putting it in checked baggage.
of course
So you
not.
put it in your
No.
carry-on and it goes through the scanner and everybody gathers around and is like, "What is this?" So
Yeah.
it's just like, "Yes, it is not mine. I did not earn it."
They're looking at you
But
going like, "What did you win?" And it's not
yeah,
mine.
no, it
It's
isn't
not mine.
me, but it's
No.
one of my heroes. And I just absolutely freaked out that I got the privilege to
This is
have a little tiny
literally
bit
all
of
right.
Jimmy.
So this is one of my AKA Oscars. It's not an Oscar, but this is one of my awards. But so it's like
Nice. That's
next to
awesome.
me. So I have that, and then of course this bad boy here. So
Oh,
also that,
yes.
I
That's
have one.
awesome.
So
Congrats,
those
bro.
those are my Oscars and Grammys or whatever you want to
But
call
you actually won those yourself. You didn't
I
just
won
borrow
those,
them
yeah.
from
Yeah,
somebody. So
I won those.
yeah.
I did not borrow them for decoration.
Sadly, mine is borrowed, but I'll take it.
Yes, you at least get to have it in your possession right now.
Yeah,
So
for a few days. It'll go back.
so I'm a little envious. I'm a little envious that you at least get to look at it and go, that's my hero's Oscar. You get to say those words though.
Yes.
I don't.
I was so humbled that Kelly and her family would trust us to tell his story. And I mean, what a remarkable story. And it's so beloved by so many people, and that she'd be willing to go on the journey and, jump into the script with us and have conversations when we cast KJ. About what was your dad's favorite food? What was your dad like at home? How is he different when he was
Mhm.
performing on set versus as he grew up? How did the war factor into his life? Still, how did he live as a huge
Yeah.
movie star but also just a normal? All of those conversations that we got to have with her, and then she came out to set. She's an executive producer on the film, and she stood next to the monitor with me as we were directing, and just had the biggest smile on her face and said, "KJ makes a real fine dad." That she was just so proud of what he was bringing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so rewarding for me that all of our work is being affirmed by the people who knew him and loved him, and it was just really gratifying. 'Cause that's our goal, is to honor him and what he did. And then early on in our conversations, Kelly stopped me once and she said, "Does anybody remember who my dad is anymore? I mean, it's 80. It's a Wonderful Life was made 80 years ago.
Interesting.
Does anybody even remember?" I said, "Well, Kelly, yes. He has fans all over the world. People love his movies, especially love It's a Wonderful Life. But even if nobody knew who your dad was, I want to make this movie so that my kids and the kids of their generation can see what a hero looks like. Someone who who does the right thing, who lives the right way, who treats other people the way he wanted to be treated." And one of his core values that I think is so relevant today was kindness. So Kelly told me a story that she and her sister were preparing to go off to college, and dad said, "We need to talk." And they're like, "Oh, great. It's going to be the talk about money or boys or grades or." So he sits them down and says, "Girls, I need you to be kind." And they're like, "That's it?" He's like, "Yeah, be kind. Live your life with kindness towards others." and Jimmy did the same thing. He went through his deepest valley. He knew what it was like to be at the bottom, to be at the end of yourself, and to find friends and to find hope and to feel God's love in your heart. And he said, "And I want you to share that with the people around you." And that's how he lived his life. And what an amazing guy who was, the top of the world, but still treated others the way he wanted to be treated. And I was just such a privilege to get to talk about him and share a story.
I love the fact that you shared that as well with us because, again, in this time, I feel like that is something that's missing is kindness in our world right now. So the fact that you're saying this now, I feel like that there was a reason for you to share that story is because we really need to find a way to get back into that. We need to find a way to be kind to other people. And
So much.
It's such a novel concept, but guys, it's not that hard. It's
And
not that hard.
it's not that hard. Jimmy lived by that motto, and you treat other people the way you want to be treated. And something he did that was so remarkable. I feel like in our culture today, it's so much easier to get people excited over negativity and over,
Yes.
can you believe what this guy did? And
Yes.
this guy's out to get you. And people will take labels and they'll stack 50 labels on you and then pick the most egregious ones and start pitting us against each other. And Jimmy would have none of that. So he was friends with Hank Fonda, one of his best friends, who they had wildly different views on life, wildly different views on politics, on religion, all that stuff, come from totally different backgrounds, but they were friends. And they went out of their way to be kind to each other and respect each other. And they talked about their differences and they were aware of that stuff, but they didn't let those things get between them. And he made, all of the hot button issues of today, of race and religion and politics and economics and all of these things, Jimmy had opportunities to comment on them or to pick a side. And he always knew what he believed and where he stood, but he chose to be kind to people even when they were different from him. And I think that love and kindness that he had is something that we can look to today. And that's one of my hopes for this film. You'll get all kinds of different fans for a story like this. It's really fun for me. You'll get, cinephiles, and you'll get just people who love Hollywood and the glitz and the glam and the celebrities. You'll get veterans. You'll get people from small town America who love the everyman. You'll get, active duty military and Air Force and, people of faith and all this blended audiences that I hope, it's coming out on Veterans Day intentionally, because Kelly told us my dad would love for us to honor veterans and say thank you. That was one of his principles. He always was thanking veterans. So can we come out on Veterans Day? We said, sure. But also it's coming out right after the election, right? This fall, the midterm elections. So I hope that Americans everywhere we can all take a page out of Jimmy's book and say, let's set aside our differences, even though they matter, and let's find ways to come together and be kind and celebrate what that looks like with a man who did that really well.
Wouldn't that be nice? I mean, that would be wonderful. And I believe also it's coming out a month ahead at a film festival. I might have the dates wrong, but I believe
it'll be in October. We'll be playing at Heartland Film Festival. Yeah. I think that's the first release for it.
That is the first release for it. So I was like, I think it was in October, and I was going, I might be wrong, but he will correct me if I am. But I did see it on Instagram that was happening, which I think is amazing. So congratulations for getting involved in the film festival circuit for this. And
thank you.
I'm really excited to see the whole thing for sure. I mean, honestly, I don't want to say that I'm Jimmy-esque, but I feel like I have the qualities of that person that you described right then a few moments ago, where I am friends with people of opposing views. I am friends with people who don't see the world the same way that I do, but I don't hate them for that. And I'm always nice. I live by the philosophy. You're good to me, I'm good to you. And that's how I live my life. I don't look for the negativity in people. That's not my MO. I'm one of the guys that I get to sit back and I'm going, if you are winning, I'm here to see you win. That's it. I'm here to see you win. And
I love that.
When you continue to win, I'm going to be in the back cheering you on. I may not be your best friend or anything like that, but we know each other, and I'm still going to support you because I want to see you win. I've been at the bottom, and I know what it's like to come back up on top swinging. So I don't want to see any of my people go through that. So if you got any wins, man, I'm here rooting for you 100%. So that's
amazing. Yeah, to cheer for people when they're up and lift them up when they're down.
And lift them up when they're down.
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing to see Jimmy do that and give us such a great example of someone who could do that.
Absolutely.
For sure.
You talked about a few moments ago where Kelly and you were standing next to each other, you were watching on the screen. Was there a moment when that was going on where she went and said, oh my God, it's like I'm watching my father right now in front of me?
Yes. So we were filming her. So we we shot the movie in Ireland, which is interesting because it takes place in rural England in 1940s at this big air base. Most of them, Act 2 is all there at this air base. And then, of course, he's around at the mansions and the other places. And the best representation of England in the 40s is rural Ireland today. So we wound up shooting over there, which was really fun. My family came out with me, and just to get to spend 4 months with a different culture in a different part of the world. And just amazing crews, amazing talent who totally embraced the project and jumped in. And then Kelly came over to join us. And interestingly, KJ is from New Zealand. He has a New Zealand accent is his native voice. But as we were looking for the right guy for the role, I needed somebody who first got Jimmy's heart and was willing to love the things that Jimmy loved. Because nobody wants to watch a 2-hour caricature from Jimmy, right? A sketch of him. So starting from the inside out of knowing his character and then putting in all that hard work to figure out the way he carries himself. Like Jimmy's a tall, lanky guy. And you see in his performances, the way he holds his shoulders, the way he moves his arms and his wrists, and where his chin and his jaw sits, and his motions and movements. And then, of course, his iconic voice, right? And there's a lot of that is, again, in mechanics, but then also in regionalisms of where he grew up and all these pieces. So KJ did all that work and committed himself 100%. He just went for it. Including losing a bunch of weight, so you can see his sunken cheekbones, and that was KJ. Just, I said, bro, I'm not going to ask you to starve yourself. Like you got to make sure you stay alive here. But he just went, on a crash diet to emulate what Jimmy was like at his weight at that point of the war. So you come out to set and you see, after the hair, makeup, wardrobe has him there, you just want to go up to him and shake his hand after he does a scene and say, "Pleasure to be with you, Mr. Stewart. Thank you." And Kelly was standing at the monitor with me and said, he makes a damn fine dad, which just made my day to hear her say that in the scenes. And one of my favorite scenes where I think he does a great job. I mean, all throughout the film he does, but he has a scene where he rallies the troops and he gives one of those Mr. Smith Goes to Washington speeches to the guys. And you just see that as Jimmy, KJ playing Jimmy is now turning on his actor ability and he's performing for the men. And then he's realizing the weight of what he's doing, of using his talents to take men off to war and potential death. And all those layers and complexities play out on the screen. And then to get to watch the internal, KJ did such a good job of letting us see inside Jimmy's anxiety and Jimmy's fear, even as he's making courageous decisions, and to get to see those layers is fun. There's one other moment Kelly was there. Jimmy plays Ragtime Cowboy Joe. It's this super hokey old Western song. And his mom taught it to him when he was a kid. And you can see videos. If you Google Jimmy Stewart, Ragtime Cowboy Joe, there's hilarious videos of him playing it. And people would say when they came over to his house, in later years, Jimmy would open the door in his slippers and come on in and play Ragtime Cowboy Joe on the piano. So we have a scene where he's doing that with this British girl that he's over at her mansion, and they're playing around on the piano. And Kelly was there saying, "My dad always used to play this song. I can't believe it's here, live being recreated." So just those moments like that bringing it to life 80 years later. What a blast. So thankful for the opportunity.
I'm very excited to see this. He's definitely one of my favorites, especially after watching him on Dean Martin's roast and just seeing how he was with everybody in that. It just made me respect him even more as a person, not just an actor, but as a person, as the person. Yeah. So I'm very honored to see this come Veterans Day this year, and hopefully you come back again. We would love to have you back.
I would love to. What an enjoyable conversation. Thank you for being the kind of man that you are, and for sharing kindness with the world, and for letting us talk about Jimmy with your audience here. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Aaron Burns, everybody, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to The Buzz. Catch all episodes on Spotify. Remember to like and subscribe. Visit buzzworthyradiocast.com.